Good morning, my people. How are you today? Leero lwa Monday. Abantu abavuga emmoloka ezo oldi moddo bavuga bubi mulabi. Waliwo abantu bamwe abasaana emmoloka ndoza ne ziwummulamuko n'agitekako ku poliisi n'avaayo nga akkakkanye. But how are you today, guys? It's a Monday, and today I just wanted us to talk about enough. How do you know it's enough? Because once you know that it's enough, so of course that's why I scheduled this live broadcast even before yesterday. I want us to talk about the theory of enough. Guys, how do you know that what you have is enough? Take you to my place where we will play. Make them jump, we're gonna make them dance. Jump, 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 jump. Jump, 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 jump. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba. morning, guys. Muli mutya. They don't talk about enough, the theory of enough. Have you guys come across that thing? I've recently been introduced myself to it, trying to figure out how do you know that what you have is enough. Yeah, how do you know that what you have is enough? Of course, now it of course, now you have to understand that you have to know what you need, what you want, and then see where you are. It doesn't matter okora sente meko mwezi, it doesn't matter oberawa. What really matters now is what matters right now is you make a list of the things that you need, and then you make a list of the things that you want or wish to have, and then you make a list of the things that you have, and you see at what position are you. Are you at the position of what you need? Are you at the position of what you want? Are you in between? And then you will realize that majority of the time we're not really doing that badly. I can, for example, I can talk about someone that I know that is looking to buy an item beyond their means. They cannot really afford it, but they would rather live without something that actually does what they need, but they would want to get something that the world will look at and say, let me give you an example. Someone wants to drive that Nua, the Valvematic. At this moment they can afford a Vitz, and they have said nzokuvuga Vitz nja kutambuza ebigere nja kulinya boda paka okitegeera. But when you look at the things that they need, when you look at the kind of car they need, a Vitz would suffice. A Vitz would be a good enough car for that person. So when you look at that person and what they need, a Vitz would be a very good car, but they have decided that they can't drive a Vitz. Yeah, they will drive a Noah no matter what happens. You get. They have decided that they will drive a Noah no matter what happens. So they would rather actually spend the next 3 years without driving. Yeah, and sometimes you have to understand, why do I need a car? For safety, for quick movement, for mobility. Yeah, because when you think about the reasons why you need a car, you will figure out that any car will just do. You have a family of 2 kids and probably a wife or husband, so you're technically 4 people. A Vitz takes 5 people, and you say nzijagala Nuwa, nina kuvuga Nuwa, but naba sivuze Nuwa sijja kuvuga. Okitegeera. Yes, you want the Nuwa, but you realize that you can upgrade when the time is right. So otandikawo n'ekitono ky'oyina, because a Vitz would be between what you need and what you want. It wouldn't just be what you need, because when we say what you need, maybe the Toyota IQ would work very well with what you need, but then you're getting something that is between the Toyota IQ and the Toyota Nuwa. So guys, how do you know that you have enough? You have enough children, you have enough food, you have enough money. Yeah, how do you know?
one girl, you rule my world. You took my heart, never ever, but you made me beg. You made me beg. Every time I come over, you make me beg. But why? Why? You touch and leave my. But why? Why? Ration nimbon, 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 ninza. I. 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 Sitting on motoka, sitting on kabanja, sitting on bling, jagala kuwa some love. Give me some love, be my better half. I promise I will never let you down, my girl. Jewelry, dollar bills, many things don't mean nothing. For as long as you got my heart.
Edwin is saying that for him, as long as he has more 10 million cash, nothing to be spent on after fulfilling his needs, awabachi mazi, that is enough. Ekitegeeza bw'oba teziwera million 10 embeera teba nnungi n'akatono. Guys, how do you know that you have enough? How do you know that wooli embeera yeeyo nnungi, emirembe ojja kuba najjo kati awo nga you have nothing on the government? We are talking about enough. How do you know? How do you know you're in a big kumala? How do you know that chino chenyina chimala, and then you don't look for not a runka, because okulunka and looking for is actually one thing. Omuntu bwabera satisfied that you know what I have is enough. Omuntu bwabera satisfied that what I have, yes, they will look for more, but ajja kuba tali ku pressure. Okitegeera. Good morning, people. Travel life vlogger gamba, me, I have never had enough in my life. By 2025, I want a salary of 7 million as salary, and I will get it. So when you get 7 million salary, will that be enough? Travel life vlog? Obeera ogenda kuba it's not enough. How do you know that now what I've gotten enough? So travel life vlog, when often a million zomusanvu per month, will that be enough? Council Patrick is saying the concept of enough can't apply today, because if we had enough, most of us, we would not be working because our needs are ever unlimited. I actually think, Council Patrick, that there is enough. I think you just haven't reached your enough. You just haven't reached your enough, or sometimes you just haven't yet written down what is enough for you. I've been watching, I watched Miles Monroe did a video where he was talking about the most dangerous people. And he said the most dangerous people are people with power but without principles. Yeah? A person that has a lot of power but doesn't have principles is dangerous, because that person will kill you with their power. Like if you had like a policeman that has a lot of power over you, enough principles, yeah, you will die, because this person doesn't really care about anything else but to show that they have power. And I find that that's the one thing that we struggle with in Africa. We have a lot of people that have unlimited power but with no principles. You see, the reason why dictatorships happen is because of people that have power but no principles. Because a person that has principles will say, you know, guys, I'm going to be your leader for the next 2 terms, and I will not come back. And then, because they don't have principles, they come back for a 3rd term and a 4th term and a 5th term. You get? So I find that that's the thing that disturbed Robert Mugabe. It's the thing that disturbed all this. You see where Zimbabwe is right now. It would not be there if they had change of power. You get? You see, I think, was it Indonesia or Bangladesh where people were throwing money? Where was that? Right? It's because people have no principles. You guys saw what happened in Bangladesh, where the prime minister fled. What's the past tense of flee? Fled. My sons would say fled. Ragnar would say, Daddy, the prime minister fled. So it's in Bangladesh, where young people came and they were rioting. Apparently in Bangladesh, the government had an agreement with some people that their children and grandchildren and grandchildren will have access to all the jobs before any other group of people. And then the young people were saying, like, we don't have jobs because you have this funny agreement. You are the prime minister, cancel it. And then the prime minister said, okay, we are going to cancel it. Everyone will have equal opportunity to get the jobs. And then I think then the prime minister went back on her word. And then the guys came back on the streets. And then the prime minister said, you guys are traitors for rioting and all that. And then these young people got worse. Their riots got worse, and then that's how the prime minister fled. You get? Yeah, but you know, this entire thing escalated because their prime minister did not have principles at all. And you know, every time we see something happening, something that is wrong, it's because the person that is committing the wrong has no principles. Principle. Let it even be in a home. If a father doesn't have principles, things don't move. Bigana. So you don't want to be one of those people that doesn't have principles. And you know, the principles come with knowing what is enough for you. When I heard Muhammad Sinsereko saying that he's not coming back for MP Kampala in 2026, of course now he has figured out that enough is enough. People are tired. So if he doesn't come back, then he'll be a man of principle, because he has said it time and again that, you know what, guys, I'm not coming back as MP Kampala Central. Well, I've not seen an MP that says enough is enough. I think that money is sweet. You know, the amount of money that where you can take care of all your needs and not even lack, and then all of a sudden you don't have that amount of money anymore. Some millionaire agasatu masibu gakola nga tokoze nnyo olina okozesa obwongo omubiri Kateba MP, they literally don't use anything. They just sit there. Their MPs I've never seen talk, which take it, right? So you'd have to be a person of principle. You'd have to be a person that has a lot of principle for you to not stand again for a third or fourth term. I think that's why MPs are staying there for long. And I think that's the one reason why they made sure the judges, the magistrates, the president, vice president, prime minister, those guys have salary for life. So that they don't want to stay in power for long, you get. So as a vice president, you continue getting your salary and all the benefits a vice president gets until you die. So they give you money for a maid, they give you money for fuel, they buy you a car every year, they give you money for housing, they give you medical and your family, and then still you get your salary for life. Yeah, and I think the one category that needs all this is the people from the justice system, the judges, magistrates, and chief justice and all that. They need these things a lot so that they don't unfairly judge cases. You get? Yeah, but then again, it goes back to knowing what is enough, because even after them being promised to get salaries for life, there are still judges and magistrates that steal from the people, that still get bribes, and then they judge cases unfairly. So these are the people that don't know what is enough. You get? So a person that has a lot of power but has no principle is definitely very dangerous. Even at your workplaces, a person gets enough money, a person gets enough benefits, a person gets enough work hours, but still yeah, for you to do their work for them, simply because they have the power to make you do so. You get? So a person with power and no principles is a very dangerous person. Yeah. So anyway, how do you know it's enough? Politicians are disturbed by the concept of enough in Uganda, by the old politicians. Chris Fitness Abuza Agamba, doesn't the idea of enough lead to complacency? We should be aiming at getting better and better every other day. You know, Chris Fitness, knowing what's enough doesn't mean you don't seek out to be better. But it means that once you get what is enough, now everything you do after that should not be something that puts you on pressure, because you have what is enough. Which take it, I'm sure you guys have had people saying, that's knowing what is enough for them. Of course, now when they get those 15 rentals, now they'll seek to build more. But at that moment, they will not be on pressure to build the rental, to build more rentals. You get? Arthur, Travel Life Vlog is saying 7 million will be enough. 7 million will be enough. Wabu Nelson, good morning. Arthur, the solution to those issues, to push young people in parliament and other institutions. I feel disappointed by our old people. Yeah, I told you last time, I don't like old people. I don't like old people. Most of the leaders won't say enough. Kubanga no mukuru entebe ya muwomera. Enough, the concept of enough, guys. Arthur, you are very right. The feeling of having enough is what will curb the rate at which corruption is escalating. I think Obutamatira. See, we will let complacency. Obumativu. Neka tono wajidia ya duka wacho bwefa. Iyo already fuwa mokeringa je batumi. Obumativu si we will let complacency. Excuse me. Chris Fitness olabye John Desire kyakugambye complacer, how do you pronounce that thing? Obugayavu n'obumativu bintu byanjawulo. Chris Fitness, everyone strives to get better, and at whatever stage you get at, you'll definitely want to do better, but knowing that this is enough, yeah, knowing that now I think at this level I don't have to really compete with the people that are worse than me. You get it? Like if you got at a level, like I'll give you an example. If you were made CEO of a big organization, let's say you made CEO of like Stanbic Bank, okay? After Stanbic Bank CEO level, the next level you're probably getting is what? Owning the bank, you get, which might not happen anytime soon. So when you're made CEO of that big bank, then that is actually enough. Bono yagala to own the bank, then that might actually mean you have to step on some toes, make sure some other people go backwards so that you own the bank. That would mean killing some people. So whenever you don't know what is enough, because at CEO level it's very hard, guys, that I can tell you. Marketing, middle management marketers, for example, omuntu ngali mu marketing, yeah, ngali ku marketing manager level, abera afuna about 9 figures in Uganda, like a marketing manager in an organization that is like Pepsi, like Stanbic, abafuna 8, 9, 10 figures. That person is definitely getting enough. Anything they get after that level will not be because what they had wasn't enough. It will be because they deserved it, they worked hard enough, and their KPIs were checking out and all that. So knowing what is enough, it's very, bobo muntu afuna 9 figures in Uganda, kizibu nnyo kwata sente ezo n'ozimalawo okujjako ng'oli mwonoonyi. So that will definitely be enough money. The allowances that still come with that position will still mean that it's enough. You probably get fuel, you get a company car, you get health insurance, you get a day off every week, you probably get holiday. You get, there is a level that you will get at, getting to be off na bina kubeera enough. Nga webitabeera enough, oba otandise kufuuka greedy. Okitegeera? Oba otandise kufuuka greedy. That's why you find that someone will be a permanent secretary in a ministry, gafuna sent, because the permanent secretary controls everything, gets a lot of money, gets a government vehicle with a driver, probably with an askari in their car. They get school fees paid for them. They get medical free for them. You get, they basically don't buy anything at home, and yet they still get a lot of money. Where they give you shopping vouchers and all. Yeah, never mind, never one cent is like $1 million. There never is $1 million. They pay for everything else that you would ideally need to pay for with your salary. Nenga, they still pay for all those things. Why are you stepping on toes of people? Why are you taking bribes? Why are you being corrupt? Okujjako butamanya what is enough. I'll give you an example of right now, Parliament, majority of MPs, at least in Uganda, are trying to get rid of commissioners that give themselves money. Each commissioner getting about $1 million shillings. And these MPs are saying, you know what, these guys, commissioner, what they did was wrong. Commissioner abirane office ya commissioner, it has a lot of allowances. The office of the commissioner gives you extra money. Apart from the 36 million you get as a commissioner, you still get more money, yeah, more allowances. You even have staff. You have a commissioner's car. You don't buy fuel. Yet still, these guys went ahead and gave themselves 500 million shillings. that wasn't legal. So that's why these MPs are saying, you know what, guys, we think these guys should not be commissioners anymore. They are not fair to the country. They are stealing. So what these commissioners did was not knowing what is enough. You get, and once you don't know what is enough, trouble is going to come to you. You remember this guy Yariani, Gwebasi Kazinda. Kazinda was a chief accountant, I think, in the Prime Minister's office or something, and he basically controlled all the money. He went ahead and stole money. He had bags and bags and bags of money in his house. You get, eh? And you guys have seen videos of kids counting money on their beds. There's a popular video that came out during the lockdown. The money was making the bed. That's someone showing you that, you know what, we don't know what is enough. By the time someone starts keeping money in their house, it means it can't be in the bank. It means they don't even know what to do for it. So they decide to stay munyumba until we figure out what to do for it. Now, these are people that don't know what is enough. You get? So when do you know what is enough, guys? I find that when we have these conversations, no people get the kendera. Or we be jakendera tujja kulekerawo buyaya abantu tujja kulekerawo tujja kulekerawo kutingana tujja kulekerawo okutwala ebitali byaffe okitegeera. I've seen people that are struggling. There is a voice that is being used on TikTok now. You guys have seen that voice. I've heard it of tozimba ku family land, tozimba ku ttaka lya family. Bonozimba ku ttaka lya family ojja kufuna ebizibu. And then this person went ahead and said that majority of the people that are suffering right now are suffering because of people, of their family and friends. Yeah? And then this guy went ahead and said, family and friends, because that will brew a lot of trouble. You get it? That will brew a lot of trouble. And this guy was totally correct. You get, this guy was totally correct that whenever you can, try as much as possible not to use land that doesn't belong to you as an individual. I think personally I learned that a very long time ago, that sometimes families would rather sell the land than actually do a project that can benefit them. I remember this happened sometime back with me. My grandmother had land in Mutundu, and she had a son that really wanted the piece of land. And the son had started making statements of and then I think that's the one thing that was forcing my grandmother to sell. She eventually sold, and it seemed like everyone else said tunda to everyone. And before the land was sold, I was saying, why don't we do a project, a family project? No, yingine jakuba funam ochitegeera. And then the other person started saying, nekakati oyagala gwe kweddiza bintu bya mama waffe and all. And all the other people were saying, you know what, Arthur, to avoid trouble, kabatunde. They sold, the person got his share, which I don't think he was able to use effectively, because and I find that normally knowing what is enough and working for it is also another thing, because once you realize that nzenga Arthur nja kwetaaga ya 5 ku 10 nga 5 ku 10 nzimbeko a 3-bedroomed house ngule yakamotoka kange mbeere okay okitegeera, and then every extra thing I work would be something I add on my life, something I add to my life or my kids' life that makes our lives better. Now, Chris Fitness, obutebuba bugayavu okumanya, because I've seen so many people trash it. There's this guy yali avuma makula sometime ago, yagende Canada, natandika kuvuga abantu, the people that want to buy a plot, build a 3-bedroom, buy a car and live a comfortable life. It's not a problem for someone to actually want to build a 3-bedroom house and feel like it's enough. sometimes enough is enough. Sometimes you having a 3-bedroom house might be all you need, which take it to live, to have an enough life, which take it. But anyway, we are talking about how do you know what is enough. Martha Marisa, good morning. You're going to sleep. Why? It's morning. Go Canada. Over US. That's where the time changes. I think enough is a personal and dynamic concept that evolves as we grow and learn. It's just essential to reflect on your goals and value and priorities to determine when you've reached a point of sufficiency. Exactly. Like there are people that will tell you, yeah, I'll be very happy. Not so. And then there are people like Arthur that tell you the sijja kulima. Okitegera. Nze sijja kulima. Abalima balime ffe tujja bigula. I've decided that there are people like me. There are people like me that have said nze sijja kulunda. And then there are people that will say nze njja kulunda ngenda lula embizi zange senga nkola faamu y'embizi nga nyinamu embizi 10 nja kubeera bulungi. Senga nkola n'embeera n'ente 5 nja kuba bulungi. Kati fena tulina okulunda kwaffe kulina okubeera. Okitegeere. Waliwo abantu abajja okugamba nze ngenda fuuka pastor nja kulunda ndiga. Okitegeera. Chris Fitton is saying, from a personal development point of view, if you feel satisfied with the little you have, or if you set smaller goals, you will achieve them and feel it's enough, yet it's below your optimum capacity. Well, then Chris Fitness, then that begs to bring a question of how do you know that the goals you have set are small? You get, because small is also subjective. Chris Fitness, a network every day mbadde nkyakugamba. A small goal or a big goal is subjective. There are people that come from families where having a border is a very big achievement. And for you, when you look at this border that this person has been able to buy cash, you think kakati ka border akurachi yaguze ka border rachi teyaguze emmotoka. And then there are people where for them owning a 20 by 30 feet plot is a big achievement. Ngewabwe wonna kumpi asoso okuzimba. Era ngewabwe bamulabanga mugagga. Now, for them to actually aim at a 50 by 100 is actually big. Okitegeera. So, setting small goals are actually something that is very subjective. That what is small to you might actually be very big for someone else, and what is big to you might mean very small for you. And also I find that one of the reasons why we have a lot of high blood pressure with people right now, why we have a lot of people getting diabetes now, is mostly because they don't know what is good for them. Chris, because yes, it feels like it's below your optimum capacity, but sometimes you have to work too hard to achieve something that someone doesn't have to work too hard to achieve. Chris, do you remember the time we went to the gym, and we were lifting? Nongama ne atho mbiri gono guzimba mangu masozo zigejja mangu waliwo abantu abatagejja maso. Okitegera Chris Fitness. Now, for some people to gain the kind of muscle I gain, they have to work twice as hard as I have to work. Now, for them to look at me and say, I want to be as big as Arthur, would be a very big goal. Yet for me, it's not really big. If I worked out consistently every day for like a week, I'd be big, mega big, because my body was made differently. So it kind of means then that small or big or enough is very subjective. Tony Ronald, here in Masid, there is a lot of rain this morning. No wonder it looks like it's going to rain. Take a look at our Mzee. He feels what he has done is enough in 38 years. Yet ideally, he has done little based on his time span. The intention should be to be better than yesterday. Well, Chris Fitness, I find that our old man has also been short of his own goals. When he was coming, he set goals. Okay? And I think sometimes, of course, comparing ourselves might not be the very best all the time. But at this time when things are not good, I find that the reason why we need to change like leaders all the time is because every time you get a new leader, that new leader that you have gotten has seen how bad things are. So now he has decided, let me go and improve this because it's bad. And that's why I think democracy was made the way it was made. That every certain period of time you get a fresh leader who knows the problems in a fresh way. But every time you have a leader that is in power for a very long period of time, he kind of loses a touch of reality. That leader loses a touch of reality. They no longer know what is needed. For example, for a good road, they no longer, because their handlers always make them pass on the routes that are very smooth. Sometimes they take the helicopters. You get so I in a way I think, Chris, that we should you see, even in monarchs like Uganda, for example, the prime minister is chosen by the king periodically, and if the prime minister performs very well according to the advisors of the king, then the king will give the prime minister more tenure. You get or like in other monarchs like England, where the prime minister is actually voted for. Every period of time, the prime minister is changed by the general public. You get, so if the prime minister doesn't perform according to what the people want, they change. Yes, there is a king ahead of him or a queen, but then the prime minister is actually responsible for making sure that the things work out. And in countries like that, you'll see that things work. The same thing I think happens in Norway and all those developed countries. Good morning, Kisauzi Edwards. Good morning. Sedeko Stash is saying, Arthur is like women. My best example is we all see beautiful women, but still you choose one and marry. Because tosola bamarayo, you just reach a point, no kula, and say enough is enough. Can we no? Aha. Chris Fitness example yomukazi ojirabye. Kabali Moses, Arthur, my room gives me 14 kilometers on full-time AC. Is that good enough? Yes, that's good enough. That's actually very good for a Valvematic. Very good. I know someone that has a Valvematic, but when they use AC, they get 10 to 11 kilometers. That's very good, Moses. Wow, 14 kilometers on full-time AC. That's impressive. Chris, you leave Mzee alone. He is an accident waiting to happen. Imagine all those years, Alinge years Joe. For him, enough is the opposite. John Desire, as you stated, other principles will foster patience as one waits for the next level. And your principles will attract better prospects from those that see you. Exactly. Good morning, Kim Semanda. Farouk official. As humans, having enough is not in our vocabulary. We always want more. You never realize this until you are in position of having enough for you. Well, I find that, Farouk, everyone has enough. Everyone has enough. It's greed that makes us think that maybe if I were in the same position, I would behave like that person. Most people are just greedy. Most people are just greedy. Most people are just greedy. If it's not something that happens that we always want more, us always wanting more comes from a point of greed. And it's totally normal for everyone has greed. This is where principles come in. Because once you have principles, then it doesn't matter how greedy things can get for you. Which the principles will stop you from putting the greed in action. John's info, good morning. Enguma David is saying, enough in real life is something that gives you a very peaceful life and you feel your heart is settled. Exactly. It doesn't stop you from working harder, from wanting to achieve more, but then from that point on, I would want to say the kind of the energy you put in, the energy you put into wanting to achieve more than what you have, it's something that is the aggression that people can see on your face as you try to work reduces. You get? Say enough comes along only when you set serious goals and better them with time. Senkinga Nicodemus is saying, thank you for inspiring. I bought my first car on Friday last week. Yadde basigadde bamanja nenja kumalayo. Sijja kubeera ngoyo guy eyakuba. What do you mean? I think, but Kongs on your first car. I think enough changes over time. Our idea of enough 5 to 10 years ago is different from enough now. That's why you should just aim at getting better. I think, Chris, I personally think that we all have enough. Nzenchakirizanti, there is enough. I'll give you an example. Chris, for me, in terms of cars, a car that can move my family from point A to B is enough. I don't want a Land Cruiser, no. A Land Cruiser would be okay, but I don't fight to get a Land Cruiser. So for me, a Vitz is enough. For me, a Raktis is enough. But if I got a Kaundo, I would not complain. But a Vitz is enough still. Okay? Then you guys have said, Chris, you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs? You start from the physiological needs and then you end up with self-actualization. Yeah? Self-actualization also has an end. It has an end. That's why you find that there is a level where people get to and then they start donations. And then they start giving out money to those that are less fortunate. And then they start making big donations to church. The church that has seats ngaziwandikidwako family, so the Chisenyi family has donation by the Chisenyi family, donation by so and so family, because they reached a level where they thought now we have enough, so we can actually start giving away some of what we have. You get it? So I find that enough is still a valid concept. Enough is still a valid concept. Everyone has enough. Everyone has a point where they get to and they want enough. So I find that right now, a Vitz for me is enough. I think now the thing in terms of cars that I'll look at is safety. To die in their cars. And that's why I would actually right now, for me to think a Kaundo for me is not something that I would aim at. Right now, if I want to aim at better than a Vitz, I would want to aim at like a Volvo. A car that will roll 4 times and everyone in the car would still be safe. A car that will be hit by a Sino truck and it will still be safe. Everyone that is in the car will still be safe. Which take it. So yes, I want to be enough, but in terms of cars, for example, I've reached a point where I think I'm okay. Okay? In terms of cars, I think now, if I were to say, I think I need to get better, I just need to get a Volvo, a car that will crash into that characters in front of me, and my car will have no trouble. My car will have nothing on it. So the only thing I'll be left with is to fix the Raktis in front of me. And when I get to a point where I can have like 4 Volvos, because we are 4 people in my family, both my kids have a Volvo, my wife has a Volvo, and I have a Volvo, you get it? Then, after take a look at competitive sports, when you reach the pinnacle, you lose the motivation, the aggressiveness, and the vigor. Then you stop progressing. Yeah, but then, Chris Fitness, you have to ask yourself, to progress to what? You get it? So when you win the longest marathon, or the longest sprint, or the fastest sprint, then you have reached the pinnacle. When you reach the pinnacle, there is nothing more to achieve. Where do we distinguish between the bare minimum and enough? The bare minimum and enough are subjective, Chris Fitness, like we said. Because, like, let me just give you an example. At the level where I am, if I struggle to get a Kaundo, I can buy it. But the fuel will choke me, because I may not be able to afford the fuel. And that's where probably we need to know that at this point, this is enough for me. I can afford it. I can manage it properly. But if I can manage a Kawundo, I should be able to manage a Volvo in terms of maintenance. And the Volvo will be definitely better than a Kawundo. The Volvo will be better than a Kawundo. Why? Because it keeps my family safe. For me, it doesn't make sense for me to drive a car that seems like it's luxury. If I get an accident, fees. So for me, I find that from where I am, the next level, I'm seriously thinking about it. Volvo, it's a saloon car, because the trips that I make every day, I find that I have a small family, and the goal should be to keep that small family as safe as possible. And the Volvo, of course, they used to say Mercedes-Benz is safe, but I find that Volvos are safer. And that's where the Volvos come in mind. So how we distinguish what is bare minimum and what is enough by understanding where we come from as individuals. We have to think Zenga Arthur. Yeah, me as Arthur. What is bare minimum? For me, the bare minimum would be moving on foot in terms of cars. Okay? And enough, right now for me, enough is having a car that moves me from point A to B and I can afford to keep it on the road. That is enough. Okay? But I can aim to getting a Volvo, which means you are safe through and through. That you guys have seen accidents where like 8 cars hit each other. That if I'm driving a Volvo, a car can hit me from behind and I'll not even feel the impact. And I can still drive that car without repairing it. Yes, right now driving a Vitz is enough. The Volvo will be enough in a certain period of time, because the Volvo comes with maintenance costs that are really high, fuel consumption that is high. Yeah. So right now I want the Volvo, but if I get the Volvo right now, I won't be getting what is enough. I will probably be aiming for what I can't afford. And the aggressiveness there is misleading, Chris. Herbert Sab, good morning. David Sembatia, good morning. So I find that enough and bare minimum is really subjective, Chris. It's what is enough for you might not be enough for Arthur, and it might not be enough for JK. You get it? And it also depends on how much work we put into whatever we do. Like me, I find that in the beginning, when I built my first house, like 3 rooms were enough. I had a room for the kids. Even before I had the kids, I had my room, and then I had a sitting room and a kitchen, very small kitchen. At that time when I was building that house, it was enough. Okay? And then I moved around with a friend of mine during the lockdown, and I realized, oh, so bigger houses are actually good. That's how I ended up wanting a 3-bedroom house. Yeah? I have 2 boys. I don't intend to get more kids. So 1 room is enough for them. I don't want my kids to ever have separate rooms, because I want my kids to take care of each other. So they have to share. So I have a guest bedroom for when my cousins visit me. Yeah? For when my grandmother comes to visit me. For when my sister's family comes to visit. They have a room. They have their own bathroom. My kids have their own bathroom, and I have my own bathroom. You get? But we still have 2 bathrooms outside. I find that is enough. Okay? That house is big enough for my family. I don't even want to get a bigger house. I really want to say, oh, I thought, what if you could get a big... I don't. There was a time, Chris Fitness, when I wanted a flat, like a storied house. Now I don't. I don't see the need of having a storied house. Okay? At that time I would have thought, oh, if I get a storied house, when my bedroom is on the 1st floor or 2nd floor, I'd be happy. Right now I'm happy with a 3-bedroom house that is a bungalow. I'm very happy with it. I'm very happy with the house that has a parking for 3 cars, one for the kids, one for the wife, and one for me. That is enough for me. Other people can build whatever they want, but for me that is enough. Now that doesn't make me lazy, Chris. It doesn't make me lazy. That is just enough for me. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So enough and bare minimum is subjective. But now for me, where I think where we can say it's subjective, I know a friend of mine that builds still a 3-bedroom house, but each of this is 10 by 10 feet. The house has two bathrooms, one in the master bedroom and one general one in the corridor. For me now, that is not enough for me. I want my kids to not share a bathroom with the visitors. Okay? For him, 10 by 10 feet was enough. I find that he was a little bit misguided, because before he built, he was renting an apartment that had rooms of 9 by 9 feet. So for him, making a bedroom of 10 by 10 feet was enough. Me, in my first house, I had bedrooms. The master bedroom, I think, was 15 by 10. Then the kids' room was 10 by 10. Yeah? And I saw the trouble we went through during the lockdown, because I had visitors. I had people that were staying with us. And I realized that was very small space. So the next house I built, we have bigger rooms. You get it? Like my master bedroom is almost the size of the plot I had my entire house in the first time. So bare minimum and enough is subjective. Me, I don't want to get a bigger house. For me, that is enough. There was a time when I dreamt of the crown. You get? But right now, I look at more than comfort. The crown will give you comfort, but I look at more than comfort. So now I look at safety. The Land Cruiser there is okay, but I don't think it gives you the safety that the Volvo will give you. So now I'm seriously looking at, if I want to get more than the Raptis I'm driving, I actually want to get a car that gives me better than the bare minimum of me driving, of people looking at me and they say, oh, this guy has money. And that means me getting a Volvo, which is the safest car, according to the information I have in my head. Arthur, you have explained it well. It's like when your aim was to make a jerrycan full with water, so it doesn't make sense when again you keep feeding it with more, yet it's full. Aha! Yes, Daniel. Chris, for a better tomorrow doesn't mean one should have overwhelming ambition. It simply means living one day at a time. It makes the present tolerable and future worth waiting for. Movie shots, good morning. Yes, safety is very important. Exactly. Overwhelming ambition, kusako ka pressure, omaliriza onyaze ebitali bibyo. Enough means growing in sync with your needs. Exactly. I've seen so many people that are making fun of people that actually want a 3-bedroom house, 2 cars, and a 50 by 100. For most Ugandans, that's enough. Even for the president of Uganda, a 50 by 100, 3 bedrooms, and 2 cars are actually enough. Even for the president of Uganda, that's enough. That's why people are asking themselves, why does the president need all this stuff? Why does the president need like 50 cars to move him around? Now, for the president, it's totally understandable. But when the president gets out of office, a 50 by 100, 3-bedroom house will be enough. You get it? So people are making fun of people that are looking forward to having their 3-bedroom house, because we tend to think I should build a 10-bedroom house. And why are you building a 10-bedroom house? For what? Yesterday I watched a video where they were saying Jim Carrey has been trying to sell his house for a very long time. He moved out of the city where he was living, and he bought the house at about $4 million. And for the time he has been there, it has appreciated to about 20-something million dollars. 29, I think, is what he was selling the house. And the house is not moving. Do you know why? It's not moving because there is a new tax in his city, in the city where the house is, where luxury houses have to pay a certain over 30% tax. And this 30% tax, the city said, every time a luxury house is sold in our city, you pay us 30% tax, and when you pay us 30%, we use it to make affordable housing for the rest of the people. So there are actually cities that have realized that people can have more than enough. And they are saying if you have more than enough, you should be able to contribute to those that don't have enough. You get it? Pause on a reverse camera. So some cities, and this is definitely something that happens in mostly countries where you cannot just own a house and own it totally. You get it? Like in the US, you can never totally own a house. You continue paying property tax, and this is why motivational speakers in the US keep saying owning a home is not such a, because you end up not really owning it. Like if you don't pay property tax, the house can be taken. You get it? Here in Uganda, owning a home is actually good, because once you own your home, the only thing you have to do is maintain your home. For now, until URA brings the property tax into play. Then we'll be like US, where owning a house doesn't really make any more sense. John, does it mean that enough should be based on the current but not the long term, or it means dividing it based on different levels of life, short term, mid and long term? John, that question is yours. John Desire, come and answer Chris Fitness. Discussion is actually very nice. So guys, for the rest of you guys, abatayogera Antonio ngo siri senyo. Oluzungu lwerungi chichingo siri kiride. I used to know you like the pack up and Tade Samuel, Antonio Random Things VIP, Mugalasi Joshua Mix Fambo, Yombia Mark, Tusime Eddie, Travel Life Vlog, Morad K Momo VIP, Musema Saddam, Nathan, Nsereko Starch, Patrick Rio Poetry, Fao Pade, Andrew 256BA Hong Kong. I hope Hong Kong is good. Football Tribe, Asimwe Elon, Paul Sema VIP, Nsereko Starch, Ibanda Bernard, the firstborn, Hannibal Joshua, Farouk Official, Council Patrick Asiku, Edrin Mugerwa, Louis, Eddie Pro, Chris Fitness Duburu Akato Muhammad, John Desire, fled. How did I forget the word fled? Wabuyi Nelson, Kabali Moses, Martha Marisa, Toddy Ronald, Kisauzi Edwards, Kim Semanda, Jones Info, Eguma David, Senchinga S. Nicodemus, David Sembatia, Raina Habatsab, Daniel De Walt, Movie Shots, Eddie Aniku, John Soko Jodemwe Chibuzo, come answer us. Late but all the same. Yes, Aniku. Better late than never. Heath Moses. Yes. So guys, how do you know that what you have is enough? Like there is a time when I used to think when na crown near you, very comfortable. I find that car might actually be much more comfortable than a Land Cruiser. That's what I think. I've sat in SUVs. I've also sat in a Land Cruiser, and after like a kilometer or so, it became ordinary. Yeah, and now even the Crown becomes ordinary after some time. But I find that a Crown is comfort on a budget. The only thing that stopped me from actually getting a Crown is the fuel consumption of that thing, because that's a 2.4 or 3 liter a year to mass. 2.4 for me, better give me something. Like I said, if I am to drive a 3 or 2.4 liter vehicle, it better give me something I don't get from any other car, like the Volvo. If I drive a Volvo and it's a 2.4 liter vehicle and it's giving me a lot of consumption, the advantage I get with that car is that that the car can roll 4 times and I can still come out alive. That's something a Land Cruiser doesn't give you. That's why the guys that are driving Land Cruisers and they roll, majority of the times they die. You find an MP dying in a car that has rolled. Antonio Ruzungu Lunji just I'm busy, so I decided to put this as I handle others. Oh, kare. So guys, how do you know that enough is enough? Kati wano wendi kantandike kola ku savinga, because you can get to a point where you say, now let me start saving for ebigwa bitalaze. You get you can get to a point where you start saving for emergencies, where you start buying insurance, where you start accumulating wealth. You know, everybody gets to that point where they start just, let's just keep money. Let's just keep money. Everybody gets to that point. It's just that it's people that don't have principles. They get to a point where they have enough, and instead of starting to use what they have, what they're earning to keep for the future, then they start stealing. Eh? Chris, looking ahead should not be overrated, but planned for. Of course, you put aside a reasonable saving to sustain the what-if life. We get better as our needs grow. With patience, not panic. I have seen one person, he constructed a big house not until the children grew up and left home. So now they are thinking of turning it into rentals, and they build a smaller home now which is just enough. Exactly, guys. I actually find that the 3-bedroom house is big, and I find that my kids will also grow up and live. Like, I want my kids to live when they join campus. Once my kids go to campus, they don't come back. Then I can probably turn their room into an office. I can turn their room. That's why Airbnb is very popular. Like, people in their 60s, when their kids leave home, they turn their houses into Airbnb. So they have their master bedroom reserved, and then they can rent out these extra rooms to strangers. And then once you grow up, like if my kids leave my home, then me and Mama Aban can start traveling the world and all those things. Then we might not even need the house. We can give up the entire house for renting. But of course, I've seen people that never seem to have enough. Like, this person can have a home, a first house, nazimbe yokuna. They never seem to have enough. Like, you can keep modifying your home. Like, you get an architect to give you a better design and all that. But then you can get to a point where you're simply wasting. Haven't you seen people like, you know, when you get drunk, you need to know your level. But once you don't know the level at which you get, now you're starting to make a fool of yourself. You get, and that's something you don't want. So like Daniel Lewald said, you'll build a 5-bedroom house, and then what? You get, you build a 5-bedroom house, and then all of a sudden you don't need 5 bedrooms. What are you dying? Umazenompa kali. Amazenampa. You see, one of the reasons that people keep buying the Tiguan, yeah, and some MLs is because they have reached a point where they had enough, and now they are seeking to get the thrill of driving cars like that. Of course, this car is not as safe as the Volvo, so I don't think I would have that car in my mind ever. They are safe, but the Volvos are safer cars. So if there's someone here broadcasting going out Volvo, wasobola okuchimpa family yange ejire etambulira omwo, nze wendi kati I'm looking at safety. You reach at point, and then you realize that, you see how our roads are not that safe. They are not so safe. The government stopped old cars from coming, but then they allowed old lorries to keep coming in. Now people are still importing 1992 trucks, which trucks are not safe. Which again, those trucks are not safe for us, but people are still importing them. They are not safe for the road. They are probably a reason why. We took it to Malako. Wafu. Nange kanvireko wano. Again. It's probably the reason why people are still dying in accidents. A lorry will fail to brake all of a sudden, and if we were like a place like this, a lorry stops to brake, he either enters that fence or he continues to go on the road and knocks all those cars. And that, I think I saw news where a Ford on a table road went and knocked people. We live in a country which is not safe at all. We live in a country where if a border crashed into this car of mine, kusaidia driver, so unokuvaunga menyi so umukono. Sina chindi, even my ribs can break. But if you're seated in a car, probably you guys, if you have reached a certain level and you have a lot of money, and you almost have what is enough for you, now we should look at the safety on the road. Because probably you have safety at home, you have an askari, you have cameras, you have all these motion trigger alarms, you get it? So now you should look at the safety on the road. You're probably built in a safe environment, like you are built in Kololo, and yeah. So then probably then Chris Fitness, I already have a 3-bedroom house. So now maybe my goal would be, like, if I get enough money, let me move closer to Kampala. Like if I make enough money and I want to probably be in the city, then my next goal would be, let me buy a plot of land closer to the city. Like I've said time and again, so when you tell me, when I see people say I want 10 acres of land, I ask myself, 10 acres for what? Just for living? That might be something I will never dream about. Because for me, as long as I can sleep peacefully, I'm very okay. So then the 10 acres for me would not be useful, because sagara kulima, sagara kurunda. And that's probably something that you have to think about. I've seen people that thought, oh, I'm going to farm after retirement, and after retirement they don't really want to be, when they get to retirement age, they don't really want to retire. They continue going to get contracts, which take it, because retirement is just not for them. Which take it. And you see, when we are talking in public, everyone is literally, especially the guys that are in employment, they are literally always saying, oh, when I retire, I'll do this. When I retire, I'll go play golf. Yeah, I've talked about golf because the golf course is there. And then they retire, they realize golf is not just something that interests them. Which take it, right? Golf is just not something that interests them. Kale iliyo wakutte naye eno ndaba watambula kasupidi keeko. John Desire, now olinganze tojja kulima ate tojja kulunda. Sijja. I grew up with my grandmother. She had a cow, she had the gardens, and we just got food to eat. And I find that some of those things wasted her time. Na ye Mr. Arthur wandidimye artiste mwanyi or kalitunsi. What made you hate farming? I love farming. I don't hate farming. I just don't think it's for me. You get, I just don't think it's for me. I'll farm. I'll find other methods of farming, not the farming that you people are. I will make you fishers of men, fishers of men. That's where I end. But you know, when Jesus came, he found all these. How Jesus, the song we used to sing in primary school, disciples of these fishermen, they were fishing, they were okay, their lives were okay, and then he told them, I will make you fishers of men. And somehow all these guys gave up their careers of fishing and they followed Jesus Christ. Starch. Nze nabagambwe naba wakulima nja kulima cashew plants. Cashew plants. Mustegedezo. Bwe ndiba nga okulima. Like I reached retirement nga I know people that have not farmed. Nyina be manyi nga tebalimyeko yadde nga bali myaka 7 and they are okay. Nga talimye, nga talunze, nga ali bulungi nnyo. Okitegeera? So it's possible in Uganda to not farm and actually be okay. Yes, they tell us farming is the backbone of this country, but you see how you have a backbone? If you have had a backbone and no arms, you'll be sad. You need arms, you need legs, you need a head, you need a mouth, you need lips, you need a nose, you need all those things. So me, I'm not a farm. I'm not going to farm. No kurunda nganye. I'll do other things and then I'll buy the food, which is also completely okay. You see now, the concept of enough actually comes in even here. Me, life is okay if I don't dig, if I don't rear animals. I will be okay. The concept of enough comes in here. The concept of enough comes in here. Nze nja kukola ebirala. Abagala okulima n'okulunda balime balunde, nze sibalinaako buzibu. And I also know people that were farming like 2 years ago, that were rearing animals 2 years ago, but as we speak right now, they tebagana kumanya kikwatagana na kulima na kulunda. Nga tekibakozeeko mikolo as such, but they found better things to do with their lives. Arthur, what if in 30 years from now, God willingly, you realize all you thought was enough, you acquired is not enough, you shift posts, create enough line? Give me an example of the things that I think are enough now that might not be enough 30 years from now. Chris Fitness, give me an example. Like right now, literally, I've said a 3-bedroom house is okay for me. A 50 by 100 is okay for me. Not like having bigger is bad, but this is enough. Having more will be me creating more wealth for my kids. Okay? But it's enough. The fact that I'm not going to farm, I'll give you an example. Jebazara Mama Wang, where my mother is buried. I think these people have over 10 acres of land. The compound alone is like half an acre. They never sit in the compound. So half an acre of a compound is not is for me will never make me feel like they never sit in that compound. But it's there. The home is still prestigious and all that, but they never sit in the compound. The main house has 3 bedrooms still. The main house my grandmother, my mother grew up in, where my grandfather had all his kids, and Maki has a lot of kids. Now, of the 10 acres that these people have, you know what has happened? Is that my uncles have started building on the same land. So enough doesn't really change. It's you wanting more that makes you think that it's not enough. And when someone has a 50 by 100, a standard 3 to 4 bedroom house is 50 by 50. 50 feet by 50 feet. That's a standard 4 bedroom house in Uganda. That is not so big, is 50 by 50. 50 by 50 is enough. And most houses are 40 by 40. Most houses are 40 by 40. That's a house where each bedroom has a bathroom and a toilet, yeah, a wardrobe, and it's still big enough for you to sit and even have an office table. Not the exaggerated office tables, but the normal office tables. 40 by 40 house is enough. So it means omuntu aina a 50 by 100 aina compound ye mumala. Aina no take amwe ebitoke. Aso want take am boys quarter. You get eh? So Chris, I would like for you to tell me that anything that I think might not be enough 50 years from now. Like what? Like even before I had children, I knew that 2 kids were enough for a person. And by the way, I've been talking to a lot of people recently, and most people say if I had a girl and a boy, 2 kids would be enough. The reason why people keep having more and more and more children is, one, ambition. They want to have a girl and they keep having boys. They want to have a boy, they keep having girls. 2, the ambition of saying I had a big family. Some people just have as an ambition to have 20 kids. It's not like 20 kids are what is enough, but they just want to have a lot of kids, which is still not a problem. You can have as many kids as you want. So I know people who are having many children because their dad had few children. It doesn't mean that 20 kids are what is enough. Maybe even 20 kids are not enough. You get it? Maybe even 20 kids are not enough. Because for them, the ambition is to have as many children as possible. So as many children as possible has no ending. The number is infinite. Tujja kubawagira exactly fena batuna alima ne tulunda ani anaagula bitulima ne tulunda kuba fena tujja kuba tulina amata mu maka gaffe kati tegeza tetwetaaga ku teri agenda kugula ku munne fena tujja kuba tulina amatooke ewaka kati ani anaagula ag'abalala. And I find that that's why most farmers are poor, because everyone is farming now. Every weekend people are driving their double cabins and going to their farms, and they are going to get matoke. So they end up not buying the matoke that is brought in town. So and farmers end up being poor, yet they didn't really need to be poor if someone was buying their food. In fact, I plan to produce crops and multiply animals just to share. Oh, kat Andrew Okuni. Nozolaba anti Andrew will get to a point where the things he has are enough, but then he just wants to share with people. But there are people that have that ambitions. Now, for a person like Andrew, for him, he will be at peace. He will actually have enough, but the people he's giving will never have enough, because they'll keep coming back for more. So for Andrew, he'll keep working hard just to share. Okitegeera. Osazeewo kuvuga mpola nekubo lirina ebinnya. Osazeewo kuvuga mpola genda eri ku pavement. Mulabe. Ano bosanga wa boda bosanga wa boda avuga empola nno naye anyiiza. So anyway, guys, I hope this broadcast has been. I actually have discovered my enough now. Chris Fitness, I find that when we grow up, abana bafe ne bave waffe, ne bagenda, they become independent. Then all you need is a double bedroom house, a house that has 2 bedrooms, one for your kids to come back to or your guests to come to when they come to visit you, and one for you to live in. I have a boss, he's Norwegian, and for him abeera na 1 bedroom apartment because he has omwana omu, omwana n'asoma n'amala okusoma n'agenda n'amuwa n'ennyumba, so he has a lot of money, but a 1 bedroom house is actually enough for him, right? Olima now have a little space. It's okay okulunda enkoko, you don't need to buy them. There's a Christmas I gave my mom to buy 5 birds by December. Wayagala atunda bwayagala ali nze nja kumugulako. Starch on Christmas I will buy from people that have reared. I find that that's how it's supposed to work. Those that want to rear, they rear. Those what kati fe tujja kugula. Arthur, I plan to farm just for therapy, to keep myself busy, not for commercial purposes. I will start before retirement. I find that Andrew, while farming relaxes so many people, farming doesn't relax me. It doesn't. First of all, I don't like animals. As a person, I don't like animals. And I find that the one thing that relaxes me is the stage. Performing and seeing other people perform what I've made them perform is what relaxes me. Nothing will ever relax me like that. Like when we are on a production of a movie and we produce it and I see it out there, that relaxes me. I find that, yeah, there are so many people that farm they farm for pleasure. The things that I find pleasure in are not farming. They are not, yeah. Guys, I want to say bye-bye. I already, Case Suna Official, Andrew Kuni, Eddie Aniku. I think I've said bye-bye to you guys. Thank you very much for being part of the broadcast, and I'll see you. Tomorrow is Market Tuesday. Those that have businesses and they think this would be a platform that you want to talk about your business on, tomorrow at 7:15 a.m. we shall be doing the Market Tuesday. Let me see what I want to share with you tomorrow. I wish you a very lovely day.